There are battles that are not won by raising your voice or returning blows, but by learning not to even give them the privilege of your reaction. Sometimes the real challenge is not in confronting the one who hurt you, but in keeping a cool head when everything inside you demands to explode. Most people confuse silence with weakness, but silence is an invisible wall that makes the other person crash into their own poison. Not responding is not surrendering. It's declaring that you're not going to waste your peace on someone who never deserved it. We live in a world where many believe that provoking you is enough to control you, that with a mockery, a betrayal, or a wound, they can drag you down to their level. But when you learn to be indifferent, to keep silent and to master your emotions, you take away the only weapon they had, your attention. That's what hurts them the most, that they can't move even a thread of your life. Indifference is not empty indifference. It's the declaration that your time, your energy, and your serenity are worth more than any confrontation. Marcus Aurelius made it clear, the real damage is not done by the offense, but by your decision to let it affect you. Epictetus taught that no one can hurt you if you don't give their words permission to enter. And Seneca warned that anger always plays in favor of the enemy because it makes you lose control. The real victory against the one who tried to destroy you is not in revenge or proving anything. It's in moving forward with dignity, in thriving in front of their eyes without giving them a single explanation. This is not a speech of resignation, it's a reminder of strength. Your best revenge will always be your calm and your progress. Because nothing humiliates more than seeing someone grow without looking back, without resentment, without the need to shout their victory. That is the essence of what you will learn today. How to turn silence, indifference, and self-control into invisible weapons, impossible to dodge, that defeat the enemy without staining your hands. And make silence your response. Silence is like a stone wall built with your own dignity. It's not visible on the surface, but anyone who tries to break through it will find themselves hitting against something impenetrable. It's a wall that doesn't shout, doesn't threaten, doesn't seek to impress, but protects better than any word thrown in anger. When you choose silence as a response, you decide not to give the other person what they're looking for the most, a reaction to fuel their game. Most people believe that responding is defending oneself, that keeping quiet is giving in, but it's just the opposite. Responding to an attack is often stepping onto the ground that the other person has prepared for you, with their provocations, their traps, and their desire to see you lose control. Silence cuts that invisible thread that wants to tie you to their drama. It's not passivity, it's absolute control of the situation. Stoicism has always been clear. You can't control the words or actions of others, but you can control your response to them. Epictetus said that it's not what others do to us that affects us, but what we tell ourselves about what they did to us. By choosing silence, you decide not to feed the internal dialogue that ignites anger or give others the pleasure of seeing you fall into their game. Think of silence as a mirror that returns responsibility to the other person. When someone tries to provoke you and gets nothing, they are forced to face the echo of their own actions. Suddenly, the noise they tried to sow finds nowhere to bloom and begins to wither. You, on the other hand, preserve your peace. Silence doesn't seek to prove who's right, because the one who remains silent is no longer fighting to win a useless argument, but to stay centered. This principle is not easy to practice because instinct will ask you to react, explain, shout. This is where mental training comes in. Before opening your mouth, breathe and ask yourself if your response will change anything or just serve to inflate the ego of the one who hurt you. 9 times out of 10, you'll find that speaking will only make the situation worse. Use silence as a boundary, not as a punishment. It's a way to protect your energy and not lend it to those who don't deserve it. Instead of getting into endless debates or justifying yourself to people who have already decided not to listen to you, save your words to build something valuable. A project, a habit, progress. Every response you don't give is time you reclaim for yourself. Silence also communicates, but it communicates maturity. It says, I won't stoop to your level. My peace is worth more than this fight. Your words have no power here. That's the strength that disarms those who expected to see you burn. When silence is held firmly, it becomes more eloquent than 1,000 speeches. In everyday practice, this means learning to choose your battles. Not all comments deserve a reply. Not all accusations deserve a defense. Start with the simple. Keep silent in the face of gossip, criticisms disguised as advice, provocations made to hurt you. Practice staying still, even when pride screams at you to respond. Over time, you'll discover that silence, more than a tactic, is an art that strengthens your character. The day you learn to be silent without feeling weak, you'll have taken a huge step towards your emotional freedom. Not everyone deserves your voice, and every time you choose not to respond, you remind them that they have no right over you. Silence, when used well, is proof that not everything thrown at you carries enough weight to break you. It is, in essence, a reminder that your peace is always yours and is not for sale. 2. Keep calm as a shield. Calmness is like a deep lake in the middle of a storm. Above, the wind stirs the waves, hits the shores, and tears branches from the trees. But beneath the surface, the water remains serene, untouched, oblivious to the chaos. This unbroken serenity is the true shield that protects those who choose not to react to the first blow of provocation. Keeping calm is not about being cold or indifferent to everything that happens. It's about having control of yourself, even when the world tries to drag you into disorder. In life, people who seek to harm you rarely want to physically hurt you. What they seek is to steal your peace. They win when they get you to lose control, because they know that a troubled mind makes mistakes, talks too much, and makes decisions it later regrets. That's why calmness is your strongest defense. By preserving it, you still have command over what you do, what you say, and what you decide. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the strong man is the one who does not let himself be shaken by the winds of fate. And those winds are the words, gestures, and attitudes of those who want to see you fall. Every time you choose not to get upset at an attack, you are affirming that they do not have the key to your mood. Keeping calm is not something that happens by instinct. It needs to be cultivated. Start by recognizing the first signs of anger, the accelerated pulse, the tense muscles, the short breath. As soon as you notice them, breathe deeply and give yourself a space before answering. That small breath is the moment in which you choose between reacting impulsively or responding intelligently. Calmness is also a sign of respect towards yourself. When you choose not to shout or let yourself be dragged by rage, you show yourself that your dignity is above the whim of another. Epictetus said that whoever provokes you does not harm you. They only offer you an invitation to lose control, and it is up to you to accept or reject that invitation. In practice, this means not letting every comment throw you off your center. If someone seeks to humiliate you in front of others, keep your tone low and your words measured, because nothing disconcerts the aggressor more than seeing that they cannot break you. If a situation becomes unbearable, withdraw before exploding. Calmness is not about standing still, enduring everything. It's about moving clearly so as not to fall into the trap of anger. Self-control is a muscle that strengthens with discipline. You can train it daily by facing small annoyances without reacting immediately. Endure impatience in traffic. Remain silent in the face of an unnecessary comment. Breathe when you feel the urge to respond with sarcasm. Each of these small victories builds the strength you will need in more difficult moments. Calmness is a shield because it disarms the adversary. A calm person projects firmness, and whoever tries to provoke them ends up frustrated when they find no cracks to exploit. No matter how loudly they shout or how unfair the offense, your serenity will be a response that shows them they have no power over you. The real victory comes when you discover that you don't need to prove your strength with shouts or impulsive gestures. Calmness speaks for you. It says that you have mastery of yourself, that your peace is not for sale, and that you are not going to yield it to anyone. When you manage to maintain that inner stillness, even in the midst of storms, you become someone impossible to manipulate and very difficult to defeat. 3. Withdraw to protect your peace. Inner peace is like a silent garden that only blooms when it is shielded from the noise and trash that others try to throw at it. It's not enough to plant flowers. You have to close the door when someone comes with thorns. Withdrawing in time is that gesture of closing the gate, not out of fear or cowardice, but to prevent the chaos from outside from ruining what you worked so hard to cultivate within. Many people confuse the act of withdrawing with surrendering, as if stepping away was synonymous with running away. But in reality, withdrawing is choosing not to sacrifice your mental health for a fight that is not worth it. It is having the courage to recognize that your tranquility is a treasure that is not negotiable, and that staying in a place where everything subtracts your calm only makes you a hostage of the situation. The Stoics always insisted on the power of controlling what depends on us and letting go of what does not. Marcus Aurelius said that the man who allows himself to be dragged by external disorder loses the government of his own soul. Withdrawing is reminding yourself that no one but you has the right to decide where you place your energy and who you give access to your inner world. In practice, withdrawing does not always mean cutting all ties or disappearing completely. Sometimes it's as simple as not participating in conversations that you know will end in arguments. Stop going to places where you only receive criticism or emotionally distancing yourself from people who feed on your reaction. It is learning to set a limit without announcing or explaining it. Withdrawing is also an act of emotional intelligence because it allows you to conserve strength for what really matters. Staying to fight on every battlefield only leaves you exhausted and resentful. Strategic withdrawal is not a step back. It is moving forward to safer ground where you can grow without interference. Epictetus taught that true freedom consists in not depending on what others do or fail to do. When you decide to withdraw from situations that sabotage your peace, you are exercising that freedom. No one drags you into the storm if you do not agree to board the sinking ship. One of the most common traps is to believe that withdrawing means giving the other person the right. Nothing could be further from the truth. Withdrawing is choosing not to waste time proving who is right to someone who has already decided not to listen. It is recognizing that your energy is better invested in building your life than in trying to repair something that does not want to be repaired. To apply this principle, observe your environment honestly. Ask yourself what places, what people, or what dynamics leave you emotionally drained. If you feel more tired after a meeting than before you entered, there's your sign. Start limiting your presence and reducing contact without feeling guilty. It's not about cutting ties out of pride, but about safeguarding the space where your mind breathes and your heart remains firm. Withdrawing to protect peace is not cowardice, it's wisdom. It's a reminder that you are not obliged to stay where there is no longer respect or balance. Sometimes the greatest test of strength is to step aside without noise, without arguments, without explanations, letting the silence and your absence speak for you. Whoever did not know how to take care of your presence, sooner or later will feel the void you left while you move forward with serenity intact. 4. Invest your energy in yourself. Personal energy is like the water from a spring. If you let it flow towards the swamps of useless conflicts, it becomes murky and disappears among the undergrowth. But if you channel it towards your own terrain, it sprouts gardens where before there was only dry land. Every time you choose what to spend your attention on, you decide whether you will feed growth or decay. Investing your energy in yourself is not selfishness. It is the most sensible way to ensure that what you build with effort does not collapse by supporting others' battles. One of the most common mistakes when someone tries to harm you is to fall into their game, spend hours thinking about what they did, what you should respond to them, or how you could take revenge. This constant consumption of energy not only leaves you exhausted, but it takes time away from things that can transform your life. The best response to those who wanted to see you fall is to progress while they remain stagnant. Seneca said that life is short and we should not waste it on useless discussions. Every minute you waste in a confrontation is a brick you stop putting in the foundations of your own future. Investing in yourself means directing that strength towards activities that strengthen your mind, your character, and your physical well-being. It can be something as basic as exercising, learning a new skill, or dedicating time to reading that enriches your view of the world. Self-control requires discipline, and discipline grows where you place your daily attention. Instead of wasting hours checking social networks to see what others are saying or thinking about the last offense you received, use that energy to set small goals that boost your development. Each step you take towards your progress is a reminder that the other person has no power over you. Epictetus taught that no one can take away your will or your ability to choose, and that includes the decision not to give your energy to those who do not deserve it. Direct your focus to everything that does depend on you, your health, your habits, your character. The strength you gain from that silent effort will be much more effective than any word you could throw in response. In practice, start by observing what you spend your time on and which people occupy your mind when they are not present. Ask yourself if that dedication brings you closer to what you want to be or keeps you anchored in a senseless conflict. Then make conscious adjustments. Reduce contact with what does not add to you. Set schedules to focus on your projects and surround yourself with things that feed your growth, not other people's problems. Investing in yourself also involves taking care of your emotional state. This means learning to disconnect from external noise and finding moments of calm to reflect on your goals. A peaceful mind is more productive and stronger to face the challenges that really matter. When someone tries to harm you and sees that instead of sinking, you use that experience as fuel to move forward, they discover that they have lost any influence over your life. Your growth becomes a silent response, impossible to ignore. Indifference then becomes a declaration. I don't have time for you because I'm busy building something better for myself. In the end, investing your energy in yourself is not just a defense strategy. It's a way to transform adversity into momentum. While others remain trapped in their own anger, you move forward with firm steps. That silent progress is the most resounding triumph, the one that shows that no attack could stop you. 5. Close the door to provocations. Provocations are like sparks thrown onto dry land. They do not harm by themselves. But if you let them fall and do not extinguish them in time, they end up setting everything in their path on fire. Closing the door to provocations is like maintaining a firewall around your mind, an invisible boundary that prevents foreign fire from finding fuel within you. This is a practice that requires constant vigilance, because the true power of a provocation is not in the spark, but in the reaction it awakens in you. Those who seek to hurt you know that they cannot always do so with facts, so they resort to calculated words to make you lose control. A mockery, an insinuation, or a gesture is enough to ignite the anger of someone who is unprepared. But when you learn to detect these attempts and decide not to participate in their game, you take away their only resource. There is no possible fight if you do not respond to the first verbal blow. Stoicism teaches that suffering does not come from the acts of others, but from our interpretation of them. Epictetus insisted that no one can force you to get angry. They only offer you the opportunity to react, and you decide whether to accept it. Closing the door to provocations is understanding that provocation only exists when you give it a space within you. In daily practice, this means learning to recognize the moment when someone tries to drag you into an unnecessary argument. It's noticing the tone they speak to you with, the words they choose to touch your weak points, and refusing to enter that dynamic. You don't have to justify yourself or explain why you choose not to respond. It's enough to emotionally withdraw from the conversation, maintain a neutral tone, or simply remain silent. Guarding that door also involves working on yourself so that it's not so easy for others to find your weak points. If you know that certain criticisms hurt you more than usual, dedicate time to strengthen that area of your life. The more confident you become in who you are and what you're worth, the less fuel there will be for provocation to ignite a conflict. Seneca advised that we should not allow the words of others to harm us, because that would be granting them a power they do not possess. By remembering this, every provocation you choose to ignore becomes an act of self-mastery. You're saying, "I'm not going to let your poison find a place in me." Another important aspect is learning to identify situations that tend to repeat themselves and usually lead you to react. It could be a meeting with conflictive people, a conversation that always ends in arguments, or even comments on social media. Anticipating the terrain where provocations usually appear allows you to prepare a cooler response and prevent them from catching you off guard. Closing the door is not about evading reality or allowing injustices. It's about deciding not to waste your energy on battles that lead to no solution. When you manage to do this, you realize that the real power lies in your ability to choose where to get involved. Each time you do not respond, you weaken the provocateur, because the provocation dies when it finds no echo. Over time, you will discover that this attitude not only protects you from external conflicts, but also improves your inner peace. The mind stops being alert to every offensive word, the heart beats more calmly, and life becomes lighter. This is the silent victory that the Stoics sought, not to allow the foreign to steal your serenity. 6. Choose indifference as a weapon. Indifference is like an ice wall before fire. The fire screams, crackles, throws sparks to get your attention. But the wall remains intact, cold, unresponsive, until the fire extinguishes itself due to lack of air. This is how indifference acts in the face of those who try to provoke you. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything, but not allowing what they do to have the power to alter your course. It is the conscious decision not to grant them the privilege of affecting you. Many people confuse indifference with apathy, as if it were insensitivity. In reality, indifference is a strategy, a form of self-protection that cuts the emotional tie with that which does not deserve your energy. It is recognizing that not everything deserves your attention, and that dedicating your mind to someone who seeks to harm you only gives them more space than they deserve. The Stoics taught that our mind is free as long as we decide what things have weight and which do not. Marcus Aurelius advised not to spend energy on what we cannot control, and the attitude of others is one of those things. By choosing indifference, you demonstrate that what they do does not have the authority to change your mood or your vision of yourself. Whoever seeks to hurt you needs a response to feel powerful. Every gesture of anger, every word thrown in defense is food for their ego. On the other hand, when you respond with indifference, you deflate that illusion. Indifference says, "You don't matter as much as you thought." Nothing frustrates a provocateur more than discovering that they cannot disturb your tranquility. Practicing indifference is an exercise in internal discipline. It means to stop overthinking every word, every look, every gesture directed at you. It involves remembering over and over again that their opinion does not define your worth. This habit requires consistency because the mind tends to latch onto the negative. That's why it's vital to train yourself to let go of what you can't change. In everyday life, indifference is demonstrated with simple actions. Not responding to messages that only seek to argue, not looking for explanations where there will be none, not checking social media to see what they say about you. It also shows in your posture, in your tone of voice, and in the serenity with which you continue with your plans, even though others try to interfere. Seneca warned that we should not allow others to live in our mind as if they were paying rent. Every time you choose indifference, you are evicting those who do not deserve to occupy your mental space. You are saying, "I'm not interested in what you are trying, I'm continuing on my path." A common mistake is to believe that indifference is not acting in the face of injustice. No, it means not reacting emotionally or allowing the provocation to take you out of your center. Sometimes the best way to show strength is to continue with your own thing without making noise, showing that there is nothing they can do to stop your progress. Over time, this attitude changes the way others perceive you. People stop seeing you as someone easy to upset and start recognizing your strength. And you, by freeing yourself from that emotional burden, find more energy to invest in what really matters. Well-used indifference is not coldness or disinterest in life. It is a declaration that your peace is not for sale and that no one can buy your attention with cheap provocations. It is a reminder that not everything deserves a response and that sometimes the most elegant victory is simply not to participate. 7. Master your emotions before they master you. Emotions are like wild horses, powerful, full of energy, and capable of taking you far. But if you don't tame them, they can run wild and drag you down dangerous paths until you're exhausted or injured. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean repressing them or pretending they don't exist. It means learning to hold the reins so they serve you instead of ruling you. Those who try to harm you often bet on you losing control because they know that a person dominated by anger, fear, or resentment becomes their own enemy. Every outburst of anger, every impulsive word, and every decision made in a moment of fury is a gift you give to the one who sought to see you stumble. Therefore, true power is not in the force with which you strike, but in the calm with which you choose not to strike. Stoicism is clear on this. You can't prevent emotions from appearing, but you can decide what to do with them. Epictetus taught that things don't harm us, the judgment we pass on them does. If you let anger cloud your mind, you lose control of your judgment. And when judgment falls, your entire character wobbles. Mastering emotions is a constant training. It starts by recognizing them the moment they arise. Feel the heat of anger in your chest, the tension in your shoulders, the impatience in the accelerated heartbeat. Instead of repressing these signals, observe them without getting dragged along. Breathe, count to 10 if necessary, but don't give in to the first impulse. That brief space between feeling and acting is where self-control is forged. Practicing emotional mastery also requires learning to change the internal dialogue. Instead of saying, "This is unbearable," or "I can't take it anymore," try, "This is difficult, but I can handle it." The words you choose to talk to yourself can either enrage you more or bring you back to center. Marcus Aurelius used to write that a strong man is not the one who never feels anger, but the one who does not allow that anger to make him a slave. This implies having the discipline to stop when the emotion pushes to react immediately. The reaction may feel satisfying at the moment, but it usually brings consequences that last much longer than the momentary pleasure of venting. In everyday life, emotional mastery is noticeable in what you decide not to say, in the messages you don't send, in the gestures you choose not to show, and in the arguments you decide not to feed. It's seen when you prefer to leave a place rather than explode, when you choose to listen instead of interrupting with shouts, when you understand that peace is worth more than having the last word. Seneca warned that anger is a brief madness. Each time you choose not to succumb to this madness, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your impulse. This inner strength allows you to walk with your head held high, even when everything around seems to invite you to fight. Mastering emotions is ultimately an act of respect towards yourself. It's not about becoming a rock without feelings, but understanding that your emotions are tools, not chains. When you master them, they become allies that help you act with clarity and firmness. Whoever achieves this control becomes unpredictable to those who try to provoke them, because there is no button they can press to make them explode. That is true freedom, knowing that your reactions are not for sale and that no one can buy them with insults, taunts, or provocations. When you master your emotions before they master you, you become the absolute master of yourself. 8. Trust that time will do justice. Time is like a silent river that never stops. It may seem calm on the surface, but its current drags everything that is not well anchored, and sooner or later, it exposes what the water was hiding. Trusting in time is accepting that not everything is resolved instantly, and that some battles are won simply by waiting for the river to follow its course. Whoever tries to hurt you usually seeks immediate results. They want to see you react, lose control, respond with anger. But when you choose to wait and keep calm, you take away that satisfaction. Time ends up showing who acted with dignity and who let the poison consume them. You don't need to prove anything at the moment, because actions speak louder when the dust settles. Stoicism reminds us that we do not control external events or the fate of others, but we can control the way we respond and the path we choose. Marcus Aurelius advised not to obsess over immediate justice, because the universe has its own order, even if it takes time to become visible. Trusting in time does not mean folding your arms, but continuing to grow while you let natural consequences reach each one. In practice, this means not wearing yourself out in seeking revenge or spending energy on proving that you are right. Life over time reveals the truth. The one who lies gets tangled up in their lies. The one who hurts gets trapped in their own bitterness. You, meanwhile, move forward in silence, strengthened by patience. Seneca warned that anger is impatient, but wisdom knows how to wait. Patience is not passivity. It is a force that allows you to stand firm while everything settles. Time puts each one in the place they belong, even if it is not at the moment you would like. When you learn to trust in time, resentment loses strength. You no longer need to settle scores because you know that life will do it for you. This frees you from the burden of watching over the other and allows you to dedicate yourself to building your own path. In the end, that is the most serene victory, to see that you move forward while time took care of unmasking what needed to come to light. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.